Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be doing a lens review on what I believe is the best macro lens you can buy for the value. And if you're new here, we have over 200 videography related videos, so lots of content for you to learn from. And if you want to know any of the gear or the music we use to make our videos, I've left all links in the description. Let's jump in. So as you may know, I'm a commercial cinematographer, and Alli and I have run a video production company for over 10 years. Most of the work we do is we'll create like promo or corporate videos. And lately we've been doing a lot more like food cinematography for food brands. And naturally that requires a good macro lens. And I gotta say, out of all the macro lenses I've used, this Sigma 70mm f2.8 lens is my favorite. I'd say I even prefer it over the 24mm probe macro lens. The probe lens is very fun to use and it's waterproof, so you can get some really amazing shots with that, but it's a very unique lens, so you can't use it for everything. This lens, I've found myself using it over and over and over again. Initially, I had a different macro lens, the 105mm f2.8, and I found it to be a little too tight. I found myself backing the slider off or the tripod off more than I'd like. So I did some research, decided to buy it, and after about 3 or 4 shoots, I found it to be a very reliable, very sharp, and well-rounded lens that actually isn't all that expensive. Going back a few years, I had a different Sigma lens, and I gotta say that build quality was pretty bad. I didn't really trust Sigma lenses and I considered them sort of lower end. However, I have to say in recent years with these new series of lenses, they have really stepped up, and I honestly can't tell the difference between like the Sony G Master lenses. I want to remind you that the probe lens is like $2,000+, and if you buy like an actual Sony macro, those are super expensive. But this Sigma lens is significantly cheaper, and I would say it performs just as well as any other higher end macro lens. And over the last 2 years, I've used this lens dozens of times on set. I think 70mm is a really good focal length for food videography. And while it's nice that it opens up to f2.8, most of the time I'm shooting at about f8, f9, because I do move the camera on a slider or on a 360 rig when I'm getting these shots. Because if you're shooting wide open or close to wide open, the area that's going to be in focus is going to be extremely narrow, and you're probably not going to be able to nail your focus, or at the very least make the image look as good as it could be. The other thing I wanted to mention was on the side here, there are different settings here, which allows you to control how close to the subject you can get and focus. And that can make it a little easier. I like that they've included that because on some lenses, you're just stuck at a certain distance from the lens. If you try to get any closer, it's just not gonna work. But with this lens, you can actually choose the setting that you want depending on how close you are filming to the subject. And that allows you to get the best of all worlds. Second to that, this lens can be put into autofocus. However, because it's a macro lens, if you get super close to a subject and you have a shallow depth of field in that case, the autofocus is probably going to be pretty slow. So I would just suggest shooting manually. That's what I do on set. You're essentially going to be fighting the autofocus system because it's going to have to turn, several inches around the diameter of the lens. That being said, if you are shooting a subject that's a little further away, let's say you're doing a sit-down interview and just want to get like a close-up headshot of that person, then autofocus would be fine on this. Sigma has done a great job at using high quality glass and improving the build quality. These are pretty amazing lenses. They're hundreds of dollars cheaper than the Sony equivalent. And for me, I'd rather save the money, potentially buy a second lens, than just buy one super expensive lens that I'm always stressed out by. So I hope that gives some reasons why I decided to go with the Sigma 70 instead of a higher end brand. Most of the macro shoots that I do, this is the lens I am working with. And of course, I will leave the link in the description for this exact lens. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from us in the future. We have over 200 videography related videos, so lots of content for you to learn. And if you want to know any of the gear or the music we use to make our videos, I've left all links in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.